Hi everyone. As a mom, my two kids are my everything. They mean the world to me. And I would do anything and everything to protect them from any harm and to keep them as healthy and safe as possible. Unfortunately, this is not the case in today's Reddit story. The OP shares a story about her relationship with her biological mom. Trigger warning, it does involve abuse. So let's get to it. It's from the subreddit Revenge Stories, and it's titled, I, 22 female, made a post exposing my 50 female mother's abuse and non-profit to my city. I need to get this out somewhere, as I, along with other individuals that I have already shared with this, believe that it is a story worth telling, though the revenge is small in comparison to others I have read. Pre-context. To start off, the reason for my revenge is that my biological mother, BM, supported my rapist throughout the 10 years of knowing what has happened. 3 years of me living in her home and 7 years of fighting the good fight to finally have him locked up. Throughout all of this, she was the one who came up with the evidence to prove that I lied about being abused. She stayed with him, told people that I lied about the abuse, and turned my entire family against me. She also abused me emotionally by spewing hurtful comments to me and trying to make me feel worse about my situation when I brought everything up to the police. There is more, but overall, she is a horrible mother who puts herself ahead of her 5 kids, wanting sex and drug over loving her own flesh and blood. After I left BM's care, she started a nonprofit to help those who are more vulnerable. Children, women leaving domestic violence situations, people whose home just burned down, as well as connecting with many different agencies to reach a larger audience. She has been running this organization for about 10 years now. This lines up perfectly with the time that I left BM home due to the abuse. My abuser also helped with starting the organization, meaning that her nonprofit was started by a child predator and a protector of a child predator. Since that day, I have continuously seen posts about her organization and also having people ask me if BM is my mother. Up to this point, I have simply ignored the posts, but I do get increasingly more agitated when people say I look like BM. I also shut people down immediately once they ask if she is my mother. My go-to line being, she is my biological mother, but I have nothing good to say about her. Now, on to the revenge. This one day, I was scrolling through my socials and I came across someone mentioning BM's organization. I decided to look at the organization page and saw a Happy Birthday Mary post and got furious. So I commented on it, Happy birthday, too bad none of your kids were there to celebrate with you. That is not where the revenge ended though. Throughout the day, I periodically check the post to see if I receive a message. Since I end up being blocked by her organization, I took to Reddit, as any sane person does, and made a post on my city's Reddit page on my alternative account. This post was calling out the founder of the organization, her, aka the BM, and just stating how I wish I knew of another organization like hers that was not her organization. Thankfully, I received quite a few comments about different organizations that I could help. I also received a message from someone who told me that their friend volunteered for them and asked for the story, so I told them it. I only expected the post to reach maybe 100 people, but when I went back in to check, about 10,000 people saw it. This is about 10% of my town, which is a hefty dent in the population who saw my post. This may only be the start of it, as I am not against spreading the truth while protecting me and my sibling against all harmful repercussions. Wow. Now let's see what some of the commenters have to say. First commenter says, I feel for you and understand how it feels to be the victim while the abuser did as they please. My mother's father, one, it pisses my mom off when I say it that way, which I secretly love and do it more. And two, a real grandfather wouldn't do this, and the only real grandfather I had died a couple months after I was born. Sexually abused me for years, and my folks knew about it and did nothing. I was raised very strictly, and the only reprieve I had was going to my two best friends when I was allowed out of the house. I did get revenge. It only took about 30 years from when it happened. First revenge, my now husband flat out confronted my dad about it, and my dad couldn't even look him in the eyes, and my dad knew that he had no defense and tried to explain it away, and my husband didn't allow that to happen. I've never had anyone confront my dad about this, and my dad still has a hard time being around me and my husband. But this next one is the best because my folks had no clue how my mom's extended family found out in Nebraska. My folks live in Montana. My husband and I live in Iowa. Went to see my great aunt and her daughter. Great aunt was my mom's dad's sister-in-law. Great aunt married my mom's dad's brother. And when they would talk about my mom's folks, I would refer to grandma and mom's dad's name. We went out for supper with a cousin, and she flat out asked me why I don't refer to him as grandpa, but instead would say his name. I looked her dead in the eye and said a real grandfather doesn't molest and force sex on their granddaughters. She asked questions and I answered them, but the best question she asked is why my folks didn't stop it, and if they knew it was happening. I told them they knew and did nothing. She could ask my folks why they did it. Let's just put it this way. The cousin told everyone in the family, and my folks finally figured out how the family found out and got pissed at me for embarrassing them and said, at least I didn't molest you or force sex on you like you allowed happen to me. The family is still pissed, and they lost a lot of family due to their action. That's the easy part. But I have lifelong mental and other issues that come from being a victim as a child. My folks always made me feel like I did something wrong and would tell me I wasn't a victim and I need to stop saying I was a victim. And I won't be because I am the victim. A commenter responds to that, saying, well done. Those cowards who raised you bloody deserve it. I know someone in a similar situation, and she was actually told to forgive the jerk because he is her grandfather. She is now almost 50. Her parents in their 70s. Their relationship has never recovered. The commenter who shared her story says, my folks said the same and I never did. When my grandma died several years ago, I made the 16-hour drive back home, and when I saw Chuck, that is 100% his real name. I don't care if my family sees this, and I don't respect him enough to make a fake name up besides pedophile. When he saw me, he tried to hug me, and I said quietly, if you effing touch me, I will tell everyone what you did, you a-hole. He thought I was joking, and when he tried, I cleared my throat real loud, and he backed away. So a few years later, Chuck died, and my dad drew the short straw and had to call and tell me Chuck died and asked for me to come back. And I said, the only reason I would come back is to piss on his grave and tell everyone what he did. Dad responds by saying, never mind, don't come. Well, come to find out, some of his own kids didn't bother to come back. It also shows how many felt about him. And then another comment response is, I am with you all the way. That is exactly the way to respond. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I wish kids had better, stronger, braver parents. And then a response to that was, my husband is the only person to confront my dad. And dad couldn't even look him in the eyes because dad knew he should have done something, but he chose to ignore it, and so did my mom. Even to this day, my dad knows he screwed up and still has issues with my husband. Chuck, who did wrong to me and my folks, don't like when I call him that, but he will never be a grandpa to me. A few weeks ago, I was talking about my grandpa, my father's dad, and my mom said I never knew him. He passed away a few months after I was born, but he is the only one who gets the grandpa title for me. Good for you, OP Commodore Responder. Other commenters to the OP stories is, you're a survivor. Another commenter says, continue getting the truth out there. That nonprofit is ran by a rapist and an abuser. And that you are her child and everything you say is true. That your mom protected your rapist by coming up with a lie after lie after lie. Probably enough lies to make a politician think how she was able to keep a story straight. And that your mom also abused you when you were living with her and while you were trying to get your rapist locked up. And also go to the media in your town. Do as much as you can to have the end goal of seeing your mother's nonprofit go bankrupt and shut down, and your mother go bankrupt and be homeless. The OP of the story responds by saying, I would take it that far if it wouldn't drag me down in the process. I am going into a career field where it cannot be good for me to have my face and story out for public unless I was kept anonymous. Especially due to the type of clientele that I help. I am in school so I can work with vulnerable youth community. Ooh, that's a tough thing. Another commenter says, anyone who would choose drugs and sex over a child who they are supposed to protect isn't a human. That's a monster. Oh man, reading OP's story and some of these commenters makes me really sad to find out that there are parents out there who do more harm to their kids than to actually protect them. And that is the sad truth. I really hope that for those kids who are in those abusive or bad situations, that they do end up getting help to help them move forward and to overcome these obstacles. I would love to hear about what you guys think about this story in the comment section. So please leave in the comment and remember to continue to like and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later.